Get ready to have your mind blown. China is dropping trillions on the world's wildest infrastructure adventure. And today, we're diving into the craziest, most jaw-dropping projects they've ever tackled. 15 massive mega projects that will leave you speechless. Buckle up as we start with number 15. The Danyang Kunshan Grand Bridge, a behemoth of engineering that'll make your commute look like a Sunday stroll. Let's talk about the king of bridges, the Danyang Kunshan Grand Bridge. This 2011 marvel stretches an incredible 164 kilometers along the Beijing-Shanghai high-speed railway, and its staggering $0.5 billion price tag was well worth it because it now holds the title as the longest bridge on our planet. But what really sets this beast apart is its rock-solid stability. Built to defy nature's fury, it can withstand typhoons and even a massive magnitude 8 earthquake, making it an ultra-reliable link between Shanghai and Nanjing. This thing's not just long, it's also a total game-changer for safe travel in the region. Get ready for a transportation overhaul in Shanghai. The city is taking its public transit game to the next level with an epic urban rail expansion project. And we're talking massive. 6 new subway lines and 3 intercity railways are on their way, adding a whopping 286 kilometers of track to the existing network. And here's the best part, this billion-plus project aims to create seamless connections between Shanghai's 2 airports as well as its major railway stations. Talk about making travel a breeze. Kicking off back in 2018, this ambitious plan is set to revolutionize the way people move around this bustling Chinese city. Let's dive into the numbers behind Shanghai's massive urban rail expansion. We're talking a staggering $4.2 billion price tag. But don't worry, it'll be worth every penny. When completed in 2023, this project will transform travel in Shanghai, making it faster and more efficient than ever. Now, let's switch gears to our next mind-blowing transportation project. The Mombasa-Nairobi Standard Gauge Railway in Kenya. Just imagine being able to cut your travel time from 9 hours by bus or a grueling 12 hours by rail down to just under 5 hours. That's exactly what this high-speed railway aims to achieve, revolutionizing transport between the coastal city of Mombasa and the capital, Nairobi. Fasten your seatbelts as we take a thrilling ride to Kenya. Back in 2014, China signed a massive deal worth $0.2 billion to finance the Mombasa-Nairobi Standard Gauge Railway, Kenya's largest infrastructure project since independence. After opening its doors in 2018, this 470-kilometer game-changer slashed travel time between Mombasa and Nairobi from up to 12 hours by rail or 9 hours by bus to just a whisker over 4.5 hours. The results are nothing short of amazing. It's been rocking a staggering 96.7% passenger occupancy rate, while moving an incredible 600,000 tons of cargo in its very first year. But here's the thing. Despite this remarkable success story, Kenya is struggling to keep up with the loan payments. Will they manage to stay on track? Only time will tell. Let's jet off to Angola. In the heart of Africa, Luanda is where East meets West, at least when it comes to finances, courtesy of China's Belt and Road Initiative. This strategic hub has been a major recipient of Chinese loans, and one of them made all the difference in building a brand new international airport. Say goodbye to the 67-year-old Cuatro de Fevereiro Airport and hello to its shiny replacement, backed by a whopping $0.8 billion loan from China. The dream is for this magnificent facility to become a major aviation hub, boasting not one but two long runways that can handle up to an astonishing 15 million passengers per year. Buckle up, Angola. This airport's about to take your travel game to new heights. Let's get back on track with number 11. The Chongqing-Kunming High-Speed Railway. While we were excited about Angola's new airport, it's been taking a little longer to take off than planned, 7 years and counting due to financial hurdles. Now, let's zip over to China for some high-speed action. This ain't your grandma's train ride. The Chongqing-Kunming High-Speed Railway is all set to revolutionize travel between these two Chinese cities. It's not just a domestic project, as many developed countries have already shown us how it's done, with superfast trains zooming passengers from point A to B in no time. Buckle up for number 10. The Chongqing-Kunming High-Speed Railway is about to become China's newest speed demon. And we're not just talking fast, we're talking seriously, mind-blowingly fast. This $0.5 billion project spans an impressive 700 kilometers and will use magnetic magic to let trains float along the tracks like they're flying. The end result: you'll be zipping from Chongqing to Kunming in a blistering 2 hours instead of the current 4.5 to 5 hour haul. That's what we call a game changer. Get ready for this line to become one of China's most popular once it hits the tracks in 2025. Let's take off for number 9. China, a city of nearly 9 million people and a seriously busy airport that sees an astonishing 4.7 million passengers every single year. But this 30-year-old airport is feeling the strain, and that's why the Chinese government is about to drop $0.8 billion on a major expansion project. Get ready for 2 brand new terminals, 3 new runways, a massive ground transportation hub covering over 350,000 square meters, and an integrated subway station, all designed to transform Xi'an Airport into a super efficient travel machine. By the time the renovations are complete in 2030, this airport will be able to handle a whopping 83 million passengers and 1 million tons of cargo. Talk about taking off. Buckle up for number 10. Hambantota Port in Sri Lanka, a game-changing infrastructure project funded by China with an eye-popping price tag of around billion. Since its launch back in 2010, this deep-water, multi-purpose port has given Sri Lanka the trade boost it so desperately needed. Imagine being able to handle massive vessels from all over the world and tap in to the global economy. That's exactly what Hambantota Port is capable of doing. We're talking an increased international trade opportunities, new jobs, and a significant shift in how people perceive Sri Lanka's economic might. This isn't just any port expansion. It's a bold move towards a brighter future for this incredible country. Now let's dive into number 8, Hambantota Port. A game changer with a twist. When we first heard about Sri Lanka's massive billion deep-water port, we thought it was going to be a huge success story for international trade and the local economy. But reality check. Between 2010 and 2015, this supposedly game-changing project posted losses every single year, and in 2016, profits were embarrassingly low at just over $1 million. To turn things around, Sri Lanka made an unprecedented move, leasing a whopping 70% stake of the port and 15,000 acres of land surrounding it to China's state-controlled company CM Port. This deal brought in a much-needed $0.1 billion cash injection into the Sri Lankan economy. But what does this mean for Sri Lanka's sovereignty? By handing over such significant control to China, they've essentially given Beijing a 99-year lease on a huge portion of their land. As we watch how China will use this new asset, one thing is clear: Hambantota Port has become much more than just an impressive piece of infrastructure. It's a powerful symbol of the complex relationship between economic development and national independence. Let's take a journey with number 7, the South-North Water Transfer Project, China's epic quest for hydration. Meet one of China's biggest challenges, its gigantic size and supersized water woes. With nearly half of its population living in the north, it's no surprise that this region is home to most of China's industry too. But here's the catch: these bustling areas only get a measly 20% of the country's precious water resources. That's like trying to fuel a massive highway system with just a few gas stations. To solve this epic hydration crisis, China embarked on an incredible 3-part plan, aptly named the South-North Water Transfer Project. This colossal endeavor consists of not one, but 3 massive canals: the eastern route that leads water all the way to Shanghai, the central route which supplies Beijing with its much-needed H2O, and last, but certainly not least, the western route that quenches the thirst of northwestern China. It's an engineering marvel that set out to revolutionize how China tackles its water woes once and for all. Now let's dive into number 8, the South-North Water Transfer Project. A drop in the bucket? Imagine a water pipe that could quench the thirst of nearly half of China's population. Sounds like a game changer, right? That's exactly what the South-North Water Transfer Project aims to do. Once finished in 2050, it'll transport an astonishing 4.8 billion cubic meters of water northward every year. However, this monumental project comes with a hefty price tag. Over 9 billion, a whopping billion more than initially planned. With costs skyrocketing like that, will the Chinese government decide to shut down the project sooner rather than later? Only time will tell. But for now, let's move on to number 7 and explore another fascinating infrastructure story: Djibouti's strategic setup. Now let's check out number 7, Djibouti, the gateway to Africa. Imagine a tiny country that's like the hub of global trade. That's Djibouti in a nutshell, located where Asia meets Africa and Europe meets the Middle East. This strategic spot makes it super important. China has taken notice and is investing big time, whopping billion from 2012 to 2020. This massive investment has led to some incredible projects like the Addis Ababa-Djibouti Railway, stretching an impressive 759 kilometers with 21 stops. This railway project cost around $0.5 billion. It's just one of many infrastructure developments that are transforming Djibouti into a major player in global trade. And we're only getting started. Now, let's dive into number 7, Djibouti, a strategic investment with a few hiccups. So, you'd think that with billion invested in massive projects like the Addis Ababa-Djibouti Railway, China would be raking it in. But hold on to your hats, this railway is actually losing around $1 million annually. Yep, you read that right. However, China isn't giving up. They're pouring more cash into improving Djibouti's port and building an oil pipeline, the Hope. Those losses could eventually turn into profits. Fingers crossed for them. Now, let's move on to number 6, China's ghost cities. A story of uninhabited metropolises. Ever heard of these mysterious CCP-sponsored cities? They were built from scratch. But here's the kicker: they're basically empty shells, costing billions to construct, yet barely inhabited. What happened behind these deserted streets and skyscrapers? Let's get into number 6, China's ghost cities. The uninhabited metropolises you've never heard of. You might have come across headlines about China's ghost cities back in the day. Think Ordos, Tiantancheng and Thamestown. While some like Ordos are now bustling with millions of people, others remain eerily empty. Did you know that a whopping 20% of China's apartments sit vacant? This is largely due to speculative real estate investing, which has become the go-to move for those hesitant to take risks in China's super volatile stock market. Now, small-time investors own these buildings, but they're not exactly eager to call them home, and with few people willing to rent, these cities are stuck in limbo. Unless the Chinese government steps in and brings jobs through factories or services, these ghost towns will probably keep on haunting us for a long time. Let's dive into number 5, the Guangqiu Evergrande Football Stadium, China's gigantic soccer project. You might think soccer isn't a huge deal in China, but the government's been working hard to change that. Enter the Guangqiu Evergrande Football Stadium, one of the most epic projects in the country. This stadium is set to become the world's largest dedicated soccer venue, with an incredible 100,000 seats and an enormous 1.6 million square feet of space. Priced at a whopping $1.8 billion, this stunning lotus flower-shaped behemoth was supposed to be ready by 2022. But here's the thing, many are questioning if it'll ever see the light of day. Now let's move on to number 5's follow-up and dive into number 4. The bizarre case of Evergrande Stadium. Will it kick off? So we've got a soccer stadium that's supposed to be massive, but is it even going to happen? Well, the developer behind it, Evergrande, has been in serious financial hot water. They owe a staggering $105 billion and can't pay up. Talk about being stuck between a rock and hard ball. Because of this, there are whispers that the stadium might go up for auction or get swallowed by the state-owned Guangqiu City Construction Investment Group if no buyer comes along. I'll be keeping my fingers crossed it gets built somehow. Now, let's switch gears and head to number 4, China's unconventional solution in the South China Sea. Artificial islands galore. In a move that's left many scratching their heads, China has opted for an unorthodox approach to tackle its issues in the South China Sea. Instead of relying on diplomatic negotiations or threats, Beijing decided to take matters into its own hands and build islands from scratch. Let's kick it off with number 4, China's bold move in the South China Sea, islands of control. So why is China so fixated on taking over the South China Sea? Well, it's not just about its stunning beaches or crystal clear waters, although that does sound nice. No, this waterway is a treasure trove of fish, oil reserves, and super important shipping lanes that keep global trade flowing smoothly. But here's the catch: Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines all have dibs on parts of it, thanks to international law. To get around this, China has been building artificial islands like crazy across the South China Sea. The master plan: if they can occupy these man-made islets, they'll become officially Chinese territory, and that means surrounding waters would automatically be under Beijing's control too. And if these islands are militarized, it'd give China the power to take action against foreign ships daring enough to enter their turf. Let's dive into number 4, the Great Wall of Sand. China's island ambition. You might have heard about China's massive island building project in the South China Sea, and its nickname, the Great Wall of Sand, coined by American Admiral Harry Harris. That's because China has been getting creative with construction materials. They've been dredging sand from the ocean floor, piling it up into humongous islands, and then equipping them with fighter jets, battleships, and more military vehicles than you can shake a stick at. The idea is to use these artificial strongholds to intimidate neighboring countries. But will this bold strategy actually deliver? Only time will tell. Let's talk about Chengdu's massive makeover, a new airport that's ready to take on the world. You might be surprised to learn that this Chinese city of 18 million people only had one airport, but it was already handling an astonishing 5.9 million passengers in 2019, making it one of the globe's top 25 busiest airports and China's fourth busiest. That's when the Communist Party of China, CCPA, decided to build a brand new gateway for Chengdu, the incredible Chengdu Tianfu International Airport, located 51 kilometers from the city center. This beast of an airport boasts 6 state-of-the-art runways, 2 terminal buildings, and can handle a whopping 80 to 100 million passengers per year. But that's not all. Its unique design is inspired by the mythical sunbird, a local mascot, covering an enormous area equivalent to 46 standard football fields. And get this, the airport has not 1, but 7 levels for travelers to explore, complete with restaurants, shops, and more luxury amenities than you can shake a luggage cart at. Next up, we've got a real game changer in Southeast Asia, the Jakarta-Bandung High-Speed Railway. Indonesia's on the rise, and China's Belt and Road Initiative is making it happen with a massive investment in this 142-kilometer railroad linking Jakarta, the country's largest city, to Bandung. With an $8 billion price tag, you might be wondering if it was worth it. But trust us, this high-speed train is going to revolutionize travel between these two urban powerhouses. Currently about 80% complete and due for completion by late 2022. Despite the COVID-19 delay, this rail project will slash travel time from a whopping 3 hours to just 30 minutes. That's faster than you can say Belt and Road Initiative. Get ready to experience Indonesia like never before. The Jakarta-Bandung High-Speed Railway. More than just a high-speed train, it's a symbol of global competition. You see, when this project was still on the drawing board, 2 superpowers, Japan and China, were locked in a heated battle to build it their way. Japan wanted to bring its cutting-edge tech to the table, promising lightning-fast speeds, but at a steep price tag. On the other hand, China took a more pragmatic approach. Their proposal might have been slower, but it was a steal. Not only would they cover the entire $8 billion cost, sparing Indonesia from taking on any financial risk. The Indonesian government had a tough choice to make all. But in the end, the Chinese offer won out. This high-speed train is set to be a real game changer for the country, and we're excited to see how it all plays out. But here's a twist. Indonesia thought they scored big with China, but things haven't quite worked out as planned. The Chinese-built railway, delays and budget blowouts galore, so much so that the Indonesian government had to ditch the original deal and shell out at least $287 million to make up for it. But will this be enough to save the project from going haywire? Only time will tell. And speaking of massive projects, let's move on to one that's got everyone talking. China's Three Gorges Dam. This colossal structure has been a hot topic for years, and we're about to dive into why. Get ready to be amazed by China's engineering masterpiece, the Three Gorges Dam, spanning over 2 decades from 1994 to 2012. This massive project cost a whopping $31 billion and boasts some serious bragging rights. It's the world's largest power station, churning out an insane 75 to 115 terawatt-hours of energy each year. Sounds incredible, right? But here's the thing. While it's an engineering marvel, its construction came at a shocking cost. To make way for this gigantic dam, over 1,100 square kilometers of land had to be cleared out, forcing around 1.3 to 2 million people from their homes in 1,600 villages, 140 towns, and 13 cities. The government promised compensation, but it's no secret that corruption took a huge chunk of that money, leaving many families without the support they desperately needed. But here's where things get really serious. The Three Gorges Dam's impact goes far beyond just people. It's also caused a massive ecological crisis. When the dam was built, it flooded an enormous 1,100 square kilometers of land, disrupting the natural flow of the river and wiping out hundreds of species. Sadly, some of these losses are irreversible. We've lost the Chinese river dolphin, Chinese alligator, and Chinese tiger, just to name a few. The flooding also destroyed nearly 1,300 historical sites, including the ancient Zhengfei Temple, which was painstakingly deconstructed and relocated to safer ground. But perhaps the most alarming consequence of this mega dam is its geological impact. Its massive size has put an incredible amount of pressure on the tectonic plates beneath it, making earthquakes in the area 30 times more likely. China's Ministry of Land Resources even admitted that there were 70% more landslides and bank collapses than predicted. A stark reminder of the dam's far-reaching and devastating effects. And things just got even more alarming. The dam's construction was riddled with shortcuts. Subpar concrete was used in its build, making it vulnerable to damage. Plus, in 2020, the water level came perilously close to overflowing the reservoir's banks. It's no wonder that many experts are now sounding the alarm.